Hey everyone, so you want to get into mobile development, right? But the first big question is always, what do I learn first? It's a huge decision. And today, we're going to make a case for why Flutter might just be the absolute best place to start your journey. Okay, so just think about this for a second. Imagine you write your code one time, and that same code runs on an Android phone, an iPhone, and maybe even on a website. That's the dream, right? I mean, for years, that's been the holy grail for developers. It's all about working smarter, not harder. And as we're about to see, Flutter gets you incredibly close to that dream. All right, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the old way of doing things. Then, we'll talk about how Flutter solves that problem. We'll dive into the biggest advantages, and finally, wrap it all up with why this is such a great starting point for you. So to really get why Flutter is such a big deal, we got to go back in time a little bit and look at the problem it was designed to fix. And for a long, long time, that problem was having to build the exact same app over and over again. Yeah, this is what we call native development. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine you have a message you need to get out. You need someone who speaks French to talk to your French audience and a completely different person who speaks Spanish for your Spanish audience. Well, in the app world, Android and iOS were basically different countries. They spoke different languages. That meant you needed separate code, separate teams, and yep, a separate budget for each one. And this really just lays it all out, doesn't it? With the old native way, you're juggling two different code bases. That's double the work to maintain. It takes way more time, and you often need two specialized teams. But look at the promise of cross-platform. One code base, less time, one team. The difference is just massive. Okay, so we've seen how inefficient and kind of painful the old way was. Now let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about Flutter. So what is Flutter, really? Well, it's an open source framework built by Google, but the words you really need to focus on are right there, single code base. That's the magic. It's a toolkit that lets you write your code once and use it to build beautiful, super fast apps for, well, pretty much everything. iPhones, Android phones, the web, even desktop computers. And that is the core promise. That's the whole pitch. You learn one language, one framework, and suddenly you have the power to build for almost any screen out there. Think about that for a second. As a new developer, that is a massive, massive advantage. Okay, a single code base sounds awesome, I get it. But you're probably wondering, how does it actually work? Is it any good? So let's dig into what makes Flutter not just possible, but actually really, really effective. We're going to focus on three main things here. First, how fast it is for the user. Second, how fast it is for you, the developer, to build with. And third, the incredible community that has your back. All right, let's kick things off with performance. See, for a long time, the biggest complaint about these write once, run anywhere tools was that they just felt slow. A little laggy, you know? Not quite native. Flutter completely changed that conversation. And here's the secret sauce. A lot of the older frameworks had to use this kind of middleman or a bridge to talk to the phone's built-in buttons and lists. And that little translation step slowed things down. But Flutter, it just skips all that. It talks directly to the screen and paints every single pixel itself. No middleman, no bottleneck. And that's why it feels so incredibly fast, just like a native app. Next up, let's talk about the speed of actually building the app, especially the visual parts, the user interface. And honestly, this is where you really start to see the magic of Flutter. It has this incredible feature called Hot Reload. Now, in the old days, you'd make a tiny change to your code, like changing a color, and then you'd have to wait, sometimes for minutes, for the whole app to rebuild just to see it. It was so slow. With Flutter, you make a change, hit save, and poof, you see it on the screen in like a second. It's wild. This isn't just a small improvement. It completely changes how you work. It makes you want to experiment. You can try out new ideas almost instantly. It feels less like rigid engineering and way more like you're an artist, just sculpting your app in real time. And last but not least, and this is so important, especially when you're just starting out, you are not alone. Let's be real, learning to code can be tough. You're gonna get stuck. Everyone does. It's totally normal. But because Flutter is backed by Google and it's just so popular, there is this massive global community of developers out there. That means endless tutorials, blog posts, pre-built code you can use, and forums full of people ready to help. Chances are, whatever question you have, somebody has already asked it and gotten an answer. And that safety net is just invaluable when you're learning. Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've seen the problems with the old way, and we've seen how Flutter's performance, development speed, and amazing community tackle those problems head on. But the real question is, what does this all mean for you, right now, as someone just starting out? Well, it really boils down to three huge things. First, you learn once. You master one single framework, and you can build for all these different platforms. Second, you build fast. With tools like Hot Reload, you can get your ideas out of your head and onto a screen super quickly. And third, you get hired. This isn't some niche thing. This is a seriously in-demand skill that big companies are looking for. So what should you do right now? Honestly, just go to flutter.dev. They have a super simple guide to get it installed, and you can follow their first app tutorial. It's the best way to feel the magic for yourself. So I'll just leave you with this question. Why would you build for just one screen when you can build for all of them? In today's world, having a tool that lets you do that right from the beginning, that's not just a smart move, that's a superpower.